the founder of Crumbl Cookies, who was raised LDS.
His name is Sawyer Hemsley,
who's actually an Idaho boy, born and raised in Preston, Idaho. We did not know.
We did not know that.
Anyways, he is gay, but was not publicly open about that until he got outed this week on the internet by a TikTok star. Who's the TikTok guy?
Looking for a cool, delicious way to beat the summer heat? Try Postma's refreshing cold beverages. Enjoy a creamy Postma frappe made with milk and just the right touch of sweetener for a smooth, energizing treat. Or dive into a rich Postma milkshake, perfect for those sunny days when you want something tasty and satisfying. Postma gives you that delightful caffeine-free boost with every sip. This summer, chill out with Postma. Refreshment you can feel good about.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to This Week in Mormons, the Twin Sisters edition with your hosts, Ariane Smith
and Tiffany Hales.
Here for August. Are we still in August?
We are technically still in August. It is the 29th of August.
August has felt exceptionally long this year.
For you, maybe, not for me. Holy cow. I'm just like, ugh. But I am 8 days out from my daughter's wedding.
Yes.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
You're at the home stretch.
So yes, here we are recording in August. So
I delivered my oldest child to college about almost 2 weeks ago.
Okay, I think our listeners need to hear. This is a big life change. This is a big deal.
Huge life change.
When you take your first child to college.
Yes.
So share all the deets.
It was everything it lived up to be.
Feelings.
It was everything that everyone told me it would be. It was like a roller coaster of emotions.
Uh-huh.
Like 1 minute, oh, it's time this girl has got to go. And the next minute, like sobbing, like, oh my gosh, it's never going to be the same. Our house will never be. That was the hardest. Like
it's a permanent
will
change.
Never be the same.
Because she'll never be back here.
And it was also really hard.
I mean, she'll be back here.
But not
in the same sense.
Yeah. It was also really hard to watch her siblings. They were crushed, which I can relate to because I was crushed when you went to college. I was in first grade when you left.
Yes.
And it was very traumatic for me.
Well, I think it was traumatic for our younger sister too, because I remember, I think you guys had driven down to Provo like October, November. You were headed towards Disneyland and you guys had stopped to see me. And I remember Mom saying, our youngest sister, Ciaran, that Ciaran she was only like 3, that she really wasn't comprehending that you were going to see me. She thought I was like gone forever. And I remember when you came in to see me, like Ciaran was stuck to me like glue. Oh. She was like, oh, she's alive. Yes. But yes, it was traumatic for you.
So it was hard to watch my kids go through that because they were all a little traumatized. So. But yeah, it was good. We loaded up the car. She was hilarious because she kept we were gathering stuff in the week leading up to it. And she kept saying,
I should say, well, you have a big car. You have a Ford,
massive car. Expedition. It's like the biggest car you can get without moving to like a 15-passenger van.
Okay.
So, anyway, yeah, the week leading up, she's like, Mama, I'm getting nervous. I don't know if we can fit all this. And I'm like, girl, I wanted to be like, my 2 years of girls camp have prepped me for this moment. You have no idea the massive amounts of things I can shove in every crack of this car.
You have no idea how good my Tetris is.
She didn't even fill it to the roof. I was like, there is room to spare.
Dang. Well, I know when you were telling me that, and then when you shared the pictures, I said, you need to tell Callie she is a lightweight.
I know, because I remember you had practically a moving van.
Our dad had his furniture van.
Which was a moving van.
And I brought pictures. This is my first year. This is when I was a freshman.
Oh, I haven't seen those
had
pictures
this thing
forever.
Filled to the brim.
Yeah.
And this was my second year when I was a sophomore. Again, I had this thing filled to the brim. So your daughter, she's lightweight.
You didn't learn your lesson about more stuff to take, more stuff to move. So
I didn't care. I was taking my stuff. A good chunk of it was, as you can guess, close.
Yes. So she is having a great time so far. Classes started this week. A couple of highlights for me were when she called home and complained about her roommates being slobs and how she's the only one that cleans up. And I was like, welcome to my life, child, who lived like a slob in my house all summer. So that was kind of like sweet justice. But she is having so much fun, and it's so fun to hear her. She calls her Marco Polos almost every day, just a quick check in, and it's so fun. I didn't know how that would be. I wasn't sure if she would call me a lot or if she'd want space. Of course, I want to talk to her whenever she wants to talk. I want to hear all about her, everything that's going on. So it's been really fun.
So now my oldest daughter lives in Lauren lives in Logan because while she's graduated from Utah State, she's a flight instructor working on getting her hours. Does it make you feel a little better about Callie being there, knowing that Lauren is there?
Totally. We went out to dinner with her right when we pulled into town, and I was like, "This is so nice to have you here."
Yes.
And the other thing I thought was really funny was, she went to church for the first time on Sunday. She's living on campus in the dorms. And her biggest complaint about her ward is she said, "Mom, there's like 5 guys in the whole ward." She's like,
because they're all on a mission.
Yeah. She's like, literally, there's 5 guys. I'm like, oh, that's because you're living in the dorms.
Yeah.
And nobody who's a return missionary is living in the dorms.
Exactly.
And everybody else is already on missions. So I was like, sorry. That'll change when you move off campus.
It'll get better.
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that is too funny. That is too funny.
Anyways.
Well, I am so glad that you survived that. Now, on your way down to Logan, you listened to the recording that I did with Darren.
I did. I was first of all shocked.
Okay, did I tell you that he was recording with me, or were you surprised when you flipped it on and listened to it?
You told me, I think, the day before, because we were packing up. You were like, "You'll never guess what happened."
Yes.
And so I specifically, because I took my 2 oldest girls with me to help move in. And so I told them, I said, "We're listening to this the second we get in the car to hit the road." And they were quite fascinated too. They were like, "I can't believe Uncle Darren's doing this."
I know. So. And your oldest daughter sent me the sweetest text about how much she loved it. And she wasn't the only one. I want to thank all of our listeners for the really, really, really kind words that they said about my husband.
Glad that you got some good feedback.
I got some really good feedback. In fact, it might be going to his head.
Oh, is he going to come back?
Well, last night, so I sent him away this week. Wedding is in 8 days. I sent him on a big hiking trip up to Glacier National Park with one of his buddies because I said, why don't you go hiking? I just need to focus on wedding stuff. And
You're a mom on a mission.
He felt kind of bad about leaving. I'm like, no. You're really in the way right now. And if you stay, I will be ignoring you because I have to really focus on wedding stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you will be unhappy that I'm ignoring you. So why don't you just go hike in the woods? You're obviously, you are always very happy when you come back from hiking in the woods. So let's get you hiking in the woods.
Right.
Anyway, so he called me last night and he asked me what I was doing today. And I said, I was recording with you. And he said, well, when do I get to record again?
Oh my
gosh,
he's going to come back?
He's asked me that several times. And so when he asked last night, I said, well, I'll be recording again in 2 weeks. You want to do it in 2 weeks? And he said, yes.
No way.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I feel like he's like a podcast convert. He doesn't listen to any podcasts.
He does not.
Not just not ours.
Yeah.
He just is not a podcast guy.
No, he's not a podcast guy. So he's like, I have some topics I want to talk about. And I was like, oh, okay.
He's going all in now.
And what was so funny when we recorded is he had been taking a nap and I'd been scurrying around doing stuff. I said, okay, come on, it's time to record. And he came in the office and I had everything set up. He kind of thought that like we were going to do a practice run through first. And I was like, oh, no. That's not how this works. We don't do a practice run through. So we just started recording. I don't think the listeners could sense it. I could feel it. Like his kind of, he was a little timid at first and then he started warming up because again, just was not familiar with this format. And so I think it will be really interesting to see how he is when he records the second time.
It sounds like he's going to hit the ground running.
And here is the other thing too, that I had no idea.
What?
I mean, I'm used to his voice, but I've never heard his voice via microphone. Dude has an incredible voice. I told him, I'm like, voice. You missed your calling in life. You need to be doing radio. Yeah. I was legit shook at how good his voice sounded. Yeah,
I agree. He definitely has radio voice.
So,
all right.
Anyway, so yes,
I'm excited that he's coming back.
Yes,
I loved listening to it. It was really fun.
Good. Well, and when he comes back in 2 weeks, I'm going to let him share a wedding related story that
Okay.
happened while he's been on his trip this week. Because like I said, I am 8 days out from my daughter's wedding, and it has just been, it's been intense, but at the same time, I have this calmness.
Mhm.
And it's not just been my daughter's wedding. I've had a whole bunch of kind of big mom demands this
Mhm.
month. So my youngest daughter started college as well, because
Right.
she's the same age as your oldest. Now, granted, she did not move away to school. She
Mhm.
stayed local, but she's been living with her father for the last 4 years. And so she moved back into my house. So just getting her all set up in my house, getting her
Right.
ready for school, just dotting all those I's, crossing all those T's, just,
Mhm.
just had mom demands on me.
Yes.
And then my son started a new job this month.
Oh,
I didn't tell you.
no.
Yes.
This is why we have to podcast.
This
so
is
that
why
you
we
can
have to podcast.
Tell me what's happening in your
And
life.
so, this is my son who doesn't drive. And so he had, fingerprinting that he had to do, and paperwork dropping off, and he didn't have an updated ID. So we had to go get an updated ID. So there was just a lot of, making sure his I's were dotted and his T's were crossed to
Right.
get him going with that. And then I have my daughter's wedding.
Yeah.
And so it has been kind of crazy. I've also had a ton of demands at work as well. And I have to tell you, because I've just been reflecting on this just for a couple of weeks now, but really this last week, because like I said, we're 8 days out. And our mom passed away when we were very young.
Mhm.
I was 22. You were what, 10 and a half?
Yeah.
Very young. And so I just have felt her presence so keenly with me for the last 30 days.
Oh, that's really
I'm probably not going to be
sweet.
able to get through this without crying.
Well,
It
because
has-
if she were physically here, she'd be all over this.
Exactly. It has been so sustaining to me. And probably one of the reasons why I'm feeling so calm right now is I just have felt like she's on a special assignment from the Lord, that she said, I need to go be with Tiffany for about 30 days. I'll be back and do whatever it is I do on the other side of the veil after 30 days. But I just really feel like I need to go be with Tiffany. And I have to tell you, every roadblock that has come up, a solution has come to my mind. I mean, just even something, this is just going to sound like so ridiculous, but this is what happened tonight. So I had run to Costco because I was like, I need to get a bunch of water for the wedding. I was gathering all my beverages tonight. I walked past the bacon bits at Costco and I thought to myself, oh, I'm going to need those for the mac and cheese. And I was like, oh, I'll be back next week. I'll get them. And then I paused and this thought came to my mind, Tiffany, you're not coming back to Costco because you're getting all your salad stuff at the grocery store. And then I was like, oh yeah, I need to go get my bacon bits right now. Just little things like that. And so I just feel like Lauren's wedding in 8 days is going to be a little bittersweet because it's going to be wonderful. But I also know that assignment's going to be over with. And I'm going to be a little sad about that because I just really have enjoyed feeling her presence so with me, because I've never felt her presence for such an extended period of time. And it's just been beautiful.
Oh, that's so sweet. You're going to get me going now. Oh man.
Anyway, so yes, I will wipe away some tears now.
So,
but
by the time you're back in 2 weeks, wedding will be over.
Wedding will be over.
It's exciting.
I like to say we will be returning to our normally scheduled programming. But then there's a whole bunch of stuff that people have said, oh, I need this, I need that, kids, whatnot. And I'm like, oh, after September 7th, of course.
Yes. Everything is after that day.
After that day. So anyway, that's what's kind of new and exciting in my life. So, okay. I have a little bit of gossip tonight.
Has gossip.
I've got gossip. I've got tea. I figure, if the twin siblings can gossip about 1 hour church, I can gossip about the Caldwell Temple location.
It's Idaho gossip.
It's Idaho gossip. But you must remember, after they announced the temple, we did like a 20, 25 minute episode just like on all the rumors and speculating and whatnot. Anyway, so this one popped up this week, and I feel like this is probably really legit. And I feel like this is probably going to be where the temple location is.
And this is not one of the ones we discussed.
It is not one of the ones we discussed, because when we were looking at temple sites, I was looking at property ownership. I have an app that I use called Onyx that tells me who owns certain properties. And so I was looking for properties owned by the church. And so we were speculating based on properties owned by the church. We had also heard a rumor that it was off of Highway 55. So I was looking at properties on Highway 55 because for work, we are doing a big highway expansion project out there. And so I'm very familiar with all of the properties off of that highway because I'm condemning land to build roadways. And so I was looking at all of those properties, and I really couldn't find a property off of 55 that I thought fit the bill. So this popped up this week. I will not out the person who sent this to me, but I got a Facebook message that was a screenshot from a Facebook group that said, "Look, the new Caldwell Temple is 11 minutes from my house. I didn't think this is where it was going to be." And they had a screenshot of the assessor's website. And on the assessor's website, there was a strip of land that said it was owned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So I immediately went to my land map that I use, and my land map showed that that was 90 acres, that parcel that was split off in the picture that I saw had not been split off. Well, sometimes it takes my app a little while to, a couple weeks to catch up. So then I went to the assessor's site. So I said, okay, I'm going to go to the assessor's site. So according to my app that I use, there was a 90 acre tract that was owned by SETI Eagle Holdings LLC. And so I looked that up. It is a very nondescript holding company out of Utah. And so I went to the assessor site, and sure enough, this SETI Eagle Holdings they owned this 90 acre tract of land. They had taken 20 of that and they had split it off from the 90 and transferred it to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And that just happened in July of this year. So this SETI Eagle Holdings purchased that 90 acre tract of land in September of last year. And I believe it was at the October 2024 conference that they announced the Caldwell Temple. And we had heard the rumor that this was right off of 55. And in fact, this is right off of 55. So it is on Florida. It's Florida and Orchard. So it's 1 mile south of 55 for those of you who are familiar with the Caldwell area. And I thought that was very interesting that they had secured this land and then they announced the temple. And it kind of makes sense that they are purchasing this land with this nondescript holding company out of Utah. Probably then like I said, they've chunked off their 20 acres that they'll use for the temple. And then I presume they'll turn around and just sell the rest of the land. So at least when they were purchasing it, nobody knew what the purpose was, et cetera, because the church likes to be covert about that. Anyway, here's another reason why I believe that this is a true rumor. First of all, 20 acres is about what you need for a temple and a stake center. The other rumor that I heard is the church is already building a stake center on that site. So methinks the stake center precedes the announcement of the temple location. That is my gossip. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That makes sense. Okay, well, I'll be curious to see how long
before they announce it. Well, maybe are just breaking their news here or having breaking news on This Week in Mormons will push the church into having to make an announcement.
Oh, I'm sure, for sure.
Because we have that kind of power, Okay. All right. Should we do some stories?
Yes. So in other news this week, we have another tithing lawsuit against the church that has been thrown out.
Yep.
This was in the 10th Circuit Court. This was one that had been ruled on by a different court, and a 3-judge panel upheld the original decision, which was made back in 2023 in a federal district court that threw out the lawsuit. So this was a different one. We know we have talked about the Huntsman one.
Yes.
This was a different one. This one was a former member named Laura Gaddy and others. It just says and others. So there were multiple. We don't know who. They sued the church in 2018, claiming it fraudulently misrepresented its history and misused the tithing funds they donated.
Yes.
So not only did they have the misuse, which is what the huntsman had,
Yeah.
but they were saying fraudulently misrepresented history. So the court kind of upheld the original court's decision.
Which basically said, we're not going to make a
Yes.
decision. First Amendment, freedom of religion,
Right.
gives religions.
They're like, we're not going to get into the history and what was
and
represented.
we're not going to make a ruling on the history.
That is not our department.
Exactly. We're staying in our lane, and that's
So,
not our lane.
Anyways, I think no one is surprised about this.
Exactly.
So my question is, are there more out there?
I don't think there are any more. Now, they could appeal this
Will they go up?
lawsuit. That was a
Mhm.
3-panel judge. There's
Okay.
actually 10 judges in the 10th district. They could appeal it to the whole panel, or
Okay.
they could just go straight to the Supreme Court. Given the current makeup of the United States Supreme Court, I don't even think the court would hear this
No.
lawsuit, let alone rule on it.
No.
Because just because you appeal something to the United States Supreme Court does not mean that they necessarily hear the case, because
Right.
they can go through and cherry pick and go, yeah, no, we're not going to take that. But we do really like that.
Mhm.
I don't think the U.S. Supreme Court would take this case.
Yeah. So that might be
It's-
the last of
it's
them for,
Probably done.
for a bit.
Well, and the church has
Is Huntsman's done?
Huntsman's
He's not
is
going up
done,
anymore,
yeah.
right?
And the church has received all favorable
Mhm.
rulings on these.
Yeah.
So
So
for what it's worth.
all right, next story. The Hill Cumorah, the church just announced plans to rededicate the renovated Cumorah site on Sunday, September 21st. They will have a rededication. They, along with updating the visitor center there, which sounds like got a major makeover, they also did a bunch of reforesting on the
Yes.
actual hill since the pageant is no longer there.
Exactly.
It
They
looks-
paved they took their parking lots and reseeded them.
Yes, they did some reseeding, planted a bazillion trees, and here we are a few years later, and it is ready to be rededicated. So,
Well, and it was really interesting. They mentioned the pageant in there that they had discontinued, because this pageant went from 1935 to 2019. This
Yeah.
pageant was an institution, but what they say in the article is they couldn't justify the cost of the current and future maintenance, the security, the safety,
Right.
when such a select group of people would actually be able to attend the pageant.
Right.
So
and I have to say, that was my least favorite of the pageants. I've only seen that one
Yes.
and the Nauvoo. I did not particularly enjoy the Hill Cumorah pageant.
I saw the Hill Cumorah pageant when I was a kid, probably like
Mhm.
maybe 8-ish, because we had our cousins lived in Buffalo at the time.
Mhm.
You weren't born. And we had flown back there, and I remember we went to see the pageant. I don't remember anything about the pageant other than the fireflies.
It was just different than anything I had
'Kay.
seen. Just very over the top, and I was like, oh, this is not what I'm used to.
Oh, okay.
but anyways, I know some people loved it, and the Nauvoo. Now they kept the Nauvoo, right?
Yes, they still have the Nauvoo.
I did like the Nauvoo.
Yes.
So okay.
All right. So our next story, we have a senior missionary from Utah who died after a lawnmower overturned at a church site. This was Elder Brent Blackburn. He was 68. He was from the Helper, Utah stake. He had been serving,
Very new, wasn't it?
very new. He'd been serving at a church site in Missouri. He and his wife had just been out there since April, and he was he was on the lawnmower. He was riding overturned at the historic site and ended in a tragic accident.
Oh, it's so sad.
That is very sad. Lots of prayers for his family. And speaking of mission, well, this is a mission leader. The twin siblings last week talked about the mission leader in Mexico City who was shot. And so he is recovering. He is now home, but he and his wife released a statement this week. And there was a lot of good stuff in this statement. And so I just kind of want to read the statement because there is so much about this statement that I like. But before I read this statement, should we talk about our connection to none other than R. Tyler Wallace?
Yes.
So R. Tyler Wallace is the son of Linda and Budge Wallace. Now, who might those people be? Linda was our mother's college roommate. So
BYU roommates.
BYU roommates. She was super close to our mom. She was a bridesmaid in our mom's wedding. I remember going and visiting them in Cincinnati 2 or 3 different times. It's been years and years and years since I've seen their oldest son, Tyler. I don't even know if he'd know who I was. Anyway, but Linda still keeps in contact with me and messages me on Facebook and everything. So when he ended up getting shot, another one of our mom's roommates sent me an email and kept sending me emails updating me about his condition and what the other roommates were saying. So I just thought that was so sweet.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is the statement that President Wallace and his wife released. They said, "Our call to serve in Mexico City came from a prophet, and we will continue to serve the Lord with our missionaries." Says, "As you are aware, in the early morning hours of August 16th, 2025, an armed intruder entered our home and a struggle ensued. The intruder fired 2 shots at point blank range," which
terrifying.
how scary is that? One of those 9mm rounds entered Tyler's body in the center of his upper abdomen and exited his body near his hip, miraculously missing his organs and arteries.
That's wild.
Is mind-blowing. In that initial moment of fear, we felt God and his angels protecting us. The only way to explain the outcome of this harrowing event is a miracle. We believe God is a God of miracles. And then they talk about that and said, "We have witnessed miracles and have had angels, both heavenly and earthly, minister to us." Now, this is my favorite part of their message. They say, "We are sensitive that not every situation has the same outcome as ours, and we mourn with those who have been tragically separated from loved ones. No one is immune from the trials in in life, and some of them are the result of wrong choices of others." And anyway, I just really appreciated that they recognized, especially when you compare it to the previous story that I just read about the senior missionary who this did not survive this accident he was involved in. I just really appreciate them recognizing that not every outcome is like this, and they were lucky they were spared, and they very much attribute that to the Lord, and that, for whatever reason, the Lord's like, not done with you down there yet.
Yeah.
Got more to come. So
And I can't believe they're staying. I mean,
I can't believe they're staying either.
And also they had only been out a month.
Yes, he arrived in July.
I can't imagine the trauma to start your mission that way and then be like, okay, let's keep going.
I cannot either.
That's a lot.
I have not had a chance to have a discussion with Linda at all, because I can't even imagine as a mom to know your son is shot. But at the same time, Linda is very much a woman of faith.
Right.
And so I'm sure there is the mom part of her that wants to be protective, but there's also the other part of her that says, he is out there being a mission leader. I know he is being protected, and I know that whatever happens to him, whether he, if this were to happen again and a different result were to end, that is things that we cannot control, and we have to just have faith.
I hope they get some souped up security.
I hope they get some souped up security too.
Maybe a big dog.
I have no idea, probably not a dog, because they're living in church-owned housing, and the church is very anti-dog.
I don't want a dog.
In fact, you can't, like in our church camps here in Idaho, they have missionaries, and you cannot be a missionary in a church camp if you have a dog. They absolutely no dogs.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that a dog is not.
Maybe not an alarm system?
Well, I can't imagine that they wouldn't have an alarm system. And I don't know. My understanding is they live in a gated community, that the Mission President's house is in a gated community. So, I don't know where the lapse in security was. And hopefully they can figure out where the lapse in security was and resolve that issue.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting.
Okay. All right. Our next story. I'm going to go lawyer geeky.
This one is really interesting to me.
Oh, it was so
fascinating. We have
fascinating.
finally figured out why it's taking them so dang long to release The new
the
hymn book.
Exactly.
There is a reason.
Well, I think there's several reasons. First of all, they had 17,000 submissions that they had to sort through.
We were all chalking it up to that.
Exactly.
There's another very good reason.
Another very good reason. And this never even crossed my mind.
Yeah.
And this is a reason that has the potential to make a lot of us sad.
I know.
This
article made me very nervous.
About
the future of our hymn book.
It made me so nervous about the future of our hymn book. So, in addition to selecting the new hymns, they have to go through each and every hymn that is in the current hymnal, and they have to, of course, decide, are we keeping it, are we not? And if it ends up in the we like this, we're going to keep this pile, then it has to go through a whole legal analysis. And I didn't even think about this. So the church, the decision was made that if we're going to include a hymn in the hymn book, we are going to have every possible right to the hymn. And so they want all the rights. They want the rights to print it, modify it, perform it by the Tabernacle Choir, perform it at Strength for Youth events. They want to be able to record it. They want to do whatever they need to do with this hymn.
And digital rights.
To be able to
push it out digitally, which is a separate thing, which never crossed my mind. You think if you can print it, you can put it on a website, but I guess not.
Exactly. And so a lot of people have said, well, didn't you get all those rights when you did the 1985 hymnal? They got the printed rights for the 1985 hymnal, but they didn't get the digital rights because digital wasn't around in 1985. As well as, I don't know if they were even thinking about recording rights in 1985, but basically any hymn that's in that hymn book, the church wants to be able to control whatever they want to do with it. And so the other thing too, is they are looking at, things become in the public domain after I think it is 90 years, 80 years, 95 years, something like that. Anyway, so anything that is earlier than 1930 is in the public domain, and that gives them all the rights. So they have to look at, is this in the public domain? Because a lot of times, like they give an example, the song Do As I'm Doing. Who has not sung Do As I'm Doing as a primary kid? Here's the deal. That song is anonymous. They have no idea who wrote it, no idea where it came from. And so if they print it, they don't have all of the rights that they want. So there's a very good possibility that Do As I'm Doing may not be in the new hymn book.
I mean, did we really think it was going to make the cut anyways? They've taken out a lot of those classic 80s primary songs.
It's very true.
But
it's
that is sad. It's going to be like old church lore. Remember that song?
Remember that
we
song?
Used to do with the
exactly.
action?
Well, and then the other thing they have to factor in is, we have, so under U.S. law, any songs or music works published before 1930 are in the public domain. Okay. And so songs published in 1930 will enter the public domain in the United States on January 1st, 2026. So that sounds like 96 years by my math, 96 years before it can be in the public domain. That's just for America. Every country has different things of when it can be in the public domain. And they want one printing of this hymn book that is used universally in every country in the world. And so I think a lot of those songs that are in the public domain in America may not make the cut if they're not in the public domain or not eligible to be in the public domain in another country.
This is tough. This seems like a big ask. Maybe we should go back to like regional hymn books. Have we ever had regional hymn books?
I don't believe we've ever had regional hymn books.
Maybe we should start.
Anyway, is that not fascinating?
It's really wild.
The lawyer in me was like totally geeking out going, well, of course. This makes so much sense. Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
So I think the new hymn book is going to have 375 hymns. I think that it is going to be most fascinating to sit there with the new hymn book and sit there with the old hymn book and see what made the cut and what didn't. We may have to do a whole special TWIM episode, you and me, because we've talked about this ad nauseum, just on what made the cut and what didn't.
Wait, do we have a date? I can't even remember.
No, we don't have a date.
Are we still years out?
We're still 2 or 3 years off.
They have to work it out with the entire world.
Exactly. Yeah. No, we're years out. So enjoy those hymns while you can, because you don't know what's going to be there.
I know. Look at some musical person out there, lawyerly person, musical person, should do a deep dive on what the copyrights are looking like, and make a list of potential to be expired and put them out for all of us so we can just sing those on repeat.
Exactly.
For the next few
I'll
years.
tell you who knows. So this article, so there was a gentleman by the name of David Channer. He's a deputy general counsel in the church's office of general counsel.
Okay.
He spoke about this at BYU's annual education week.
Okay.
That's how we know all of this. I guarantee you, David Channer knows.
I know.
He knows which ones are going to make the cut and which ones aren't.
But he works for the church. He's got like attorney-client privilege.
I know he's not
going to share.
Well, that's the problem, is they all work for the church.
We need just some type of like super genius, like good with like research guy.
Okay, so we're putting a call out there for anybody who says these are the hymns that I think are on the chopping block due to copyright issues. Please let us know. That is, I have enough knowledge in this area to be dangerous and not enough knowledge to be competent. So.
Oh, funny. Okay. All right.
Oh, one more really quick take. There was a mudslide yesterday or the day before in Provo. I think it was Wednesday in Provo. They had a fire that had burned on the mountain. Then they got an excessive amount of rain. The mud in Provo slid down the mountain and slid right into the Slate Canyon Church building. So there are some pretty impressive pictures out there of the mud-filled Slate Canyon Church building.
The pictures are wild. I was like, uh-oh, that's going to take
there's going to be some wards that are going to be a little displaced for a while. Maybe they'll get that 1 hour church because
now's the time to put them on the test run, because
they're going to have to go double up in somebody else's building.
Yeah, building's in trouble.
Anyway.
So,
all right.
Okay.
Lead us into January's.
Next article. I had to hit on this article specifically for my sweet husband.
Okay.
So January's published an article today in the Tribune, and she is talking, she said, she's talking about some church essays and resources that actually are not brand new. They have been published for about 1.5 years now.
But we really haven't talked about them.
Quietly on the church website, under like the gospel topics, questions and essays and section. About 1.5 years ago, they put a new section about when you're having doubts in your faith. The title is called Seeking Answers to Your Questions, is the title of one of the sections. The other one is Helping Others with Their Questions. And it's a whole series of just topic discussion videos about people who are having doubts. And my husband discovered this like pretty quickly after it came out and was floored. He loved it so much. He's been singing its praise for like the past 1.5 years. He emailed it to all the family. He was like, have you guys seen this new section? It's so great. Personally, I have not deep dived in it yet, but I trust him. Like he's told me all about what's in it. And in fact, he even said when it came out, you guys got to mention this on the podcast. And then I totally forgot. Of course. Anyway.
And Jan Reese picked it up today. And so you were like, oh yeah, let's talk about
Jan Reese picked it up and I was like, oh yeah, Keith said I should mention this like 1 year ago.
Yeah.
So she kind of hit on it in this article and just kind of explained what it was and said, this was an opinion piece. And in her opinion, she thinks instead of quietly slipping this on the website, she wishes the church would put this a little more front and center.
Yeah.
Because it is really good material.
You know what it would be really good material for? A fifth Sunday.
It would be.
Wards are always struggling with fifth Sundays. And it seems like one of two things happens on fifth Sunday. We talk about family search. I mean, I love family search. Don't get me wrong. But I'm really kind of sick of that always being a fifth Sunday topic. Or missionary work being a fifth Sunday topic.
Yeah.
These gospel topic essays, I'm telling you, people out there in wards who have authority, these gospel topic essays would be really great topics to do deep dives on a fifth Sunday.
They would be.
And completely appropriate. It's church material, church website.
Anyway, I think the most kind of interesting thing about this material, new-ish material, is the change in tone in how it regards people who are doubting or have questions. I think in the past, in conference and different talks, it's kind of been hit pretty hard. Like Satan is leading people
Yes.
away. There's been a bit of rhetoric
Yes.
around people. Sometimes it's people are lazy. Just the rhetoric around it
Exactly.
has been that. And this new rhetoric around it is there's a video by Elder Renland, and in the video, he encourages members to avoid being dismissive or judgmental of people who are having doubts.
Yes.
Members are instructed to listen with humility and empathy, and they point out that requires focus and patience, but that is a skill we can learn. And then there's another quote from this topic that says, by the time a friend or loved one has decided to talk to you about their questions, they have most likely spent time privately searching and thinking. Members are told to ask open-ended questions like, can you tell me more? And how do you feel about that? Rather than trying to brush concerns under the rug. Mm-hmm. That's very different from some of what we've been instructed in the past, which
very
was
different.
Like, stay away, don't be pulled in. Like, I think in the past, a lot of the rhetoric has been,
it was kind
they're
of
going
like,
to pull you in.
They're going to, kind of like a disease. They have a disease, so keep your distance because you don't want the disease they have.
Right. So I thought this was really interesting.
Think those people have felt that. And then they have felt very shunned and very shamed by people they love.
Totally. I mean, she points out in this article that like 6 years prior to this being released, or however many years prior, Elder Renland himself gave a talk where he was talking about doubts, that doubt comes from Satan, and doubt is bad. We've been just taught so much that doubt is bad. And this is kind of a new way to frame it. Like, doubt isn't always bad. Like, it points out that there's rarely a quick fix for a faith crisis. And it says, recognize that the way they express their faith may look different to you than it did in the past. And that's okay. I thought that was really interesting too. Like, let's recognize that, like, hey, they might do things a little differently now, but that's okay. So I don't know. I think
the other one that I had seen and I had read this week, and I thought that was the one you'd pulled, but it's not. There is another essay on there. It's under that same thing that's talking about respond with love. And it's talking about how to respond when people in your life have questions or leave the church. And again, it's completely different messaging. Speak with love, serve them in meaningful ways. Preserve your relationship.
Yes.
It's more important to cultivate a relationship of love and trust than to provide quick answers. Try and see them through the Lord's eyes. Love them without compromise. Again, that is a turn in the messaging. And I love that that's there. I absolutely love that that's there.
I do too. It's a lot. It reminds me of when we had our very first podcast with our sister Ciara.
Yes.
We talked about all of this, and that was before this like formally came out, but these are the things we talked about. Like,
exactly.
Don't send them conference talks.
Yeah.
Like, just love them.
Just love them. Yeah. So I love that messaging. And I think that it falls right in line with what President Nelson says about be peacemakers.
Yeah.
Because in those situations where you have a loved one who is doubting or has said, I don't believe anymore, again, be a peacemaker. Let them have that journey and love them on that journey.
Right.
And that doesn't necessarily, you're not compromising anything of you to love them and let them have that journey.
Yeah. Shouldn't affect the relationship.
So I love that messaging.
Yeah. Anyway, so it was kind of a fun write-up
by Jana.
Reese.
All right, let's move into our Mormons in the Media section because we got 5 stories tonight in Mormons in the Media.
Yeah.
Last time, 2 weeks ago when I recorded with Darren, I had nothing. I kept scouring the news and there was nothing. I have to say, it's been a slow news year, but this week, we got a bunch of stuff.
They come in batches.
So our first one, we have talked about this before, American Ninja Warrior. The members of the church in Utah are just kind of killing it on American Ninja Warrior. And there is a member of the church who just won it this season, and his name is Kai Beckstrand. He has appeared on it before. His dad actually appeared on the show. His dad appeared on the show in season 7 and 8, and he was just a little kid when his dad appeared on the show.
It's crazy the show has been on that long.
I know, because he's
makes me feel old.
He's 19 now, but he appeared with his dad in season 13 as the first father-son duo. Well, this season he was on with his brother Luke. And so his brother Luke is 17. Now the Beckstrands have made this whole
It's like a family dynasty.
Thing.
Ninja warriors.
Their dad set up this Ninja Warrior course in their backyard, and they have a specialty gym in the St. George area where people could go and train. And so both Luke and Kai were training in that gym. In the semifinals, Luke and Kai had to go against each other.
Head to head.
Head to head. The older brother beat the younger brother. But before that, Luke was in a competition and Kai was on the side cheering. And then they went head to head. Kai beat Luke. And then when Kai was in his final competition, he says, the first person that reached him at the platform was Luke. Mm-hmm. He was still processing that he just won, and Luke was there supporting him. So I love how supportive, how competitive they are with each other, but also how supportive they are with each other. They're training partners. It reminds me of the marathon runners.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Who train together and they always finish like right back to back, neck to neck with each other.
Yeah, totally.
Connor Mance and Clayton Young, and just that relationship that they have. So congratulations to Kai Beckstrand. And he said, I will be back if they will have me. So he wants to go back on the show and defend his title.
Sure, we'll see him again.
Okay,
this is another member of the church that popped up on a reality show. This reality show is called The Worst Cooks in America. I have not heard of this show.
Not heard of this show. I've never watched it.
So apparently she's a bad cook. She's a former BYU gymnast, Rebecca Bean Ripley. She's a former BYU gymnast who apparently went viral
for a Barbie floor
routine when she was at BYU.
I watched the Barbie floor routine. I mean, it's good, but
I didn't see it.
I
couldn't quite get why it went viral.
I couldn't quite get why it went viral, but okay.
But there are so many things that go viral that I don't quite get why they went viral.
Okay, well that's very legit.
Anyways, I guess the producer saw it go viral and picked her to be on this show. I guess she was a good pick because she said she isn't really a good cook. She's lived off of like ramen and
yeah, she said
she's so busy at the gym she grabs
was
protein
just
bars.
Nutrition.
Yeah.
That cooking was not something she ever did.
So she went on the show, made some raw chicken, did really well by doing bad.
Well, yeah, because she advanced by making the raw chicken.
You advance by being bad, but then eventually you get eliminated if you don't improve. That's what it sounds like.
I think that's what it sounds like.
You got to be real bad to advance, but then once you advance, they want to teach you to be better, and if you don't hop on board and learn quickly, then you get
eliminated again.
Anyway, she lasted a few rounds.
And she said she came up with some mad cooking skills.
Yes, she came back a better cook than when
her husband was apparently happy about that.
All right.
Oh,
what do we have now? Oh,
Secret Wives.
The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives apparently has gotten an Emmy nomination in the category of
unscripted reality
Apparently
television.
There are multiple reality television categories now.
I guess so.
A scripted and an unscripted?
How can you have a scripted reality show? That makes no sense to me.
The scripted ones are like, I can't remember. Well, there's a lot that are scripted.
Well, of course they're all scripted, but what are we admitting to being scripted?
How do you differentiate? I can't remember. Like back in the day of the Hills and like those, I think were open about the fact that they were like scripted. But I can't think of any like current ones. I feel like all of our current ones deny that they're scripted. Anyways, they are nominated along with the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleader Show,
which that has another LDS connection because Greg Whitley,
what else was nominated?
The director producer of that.
Love on the Spectrum, RuPaul's Drag Race, Untucked. That must be like a plastic surgery show or something.
Well,
right?
I don't know because it says RuPaul's Drag Race, and then there's
that's part of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yes,
Untucked.
And then last year's winner
was Welcome to Wrexham,
which
I love that show.
You had said that you would use that as a favorite thing. One time.
I watched the first season, although I have not. I need to watch the other. There's more seasons. Anyways, I got a nomination. We'll see what happens.
I'm frightened.
Also, I hear rumor that the trailer dropped for the next season of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Yes,
but I have not watched it yet.
I have watched portions of the trailer. I think Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, if I'm not wrong, it premieres. Let me just Google it really quick here.
Starting soon?
It's starting in the next 3 weeks.
Anyways,
let me look at it.
It is kind of fascinating that the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives actually got a nomination. I mean, part of me wonders if part of it was just a given, because they claim in this article, whoever they were interviewing in the article claims it's not just because of the viral nature of it, that they actually like, there's a lot to it with the intro and but I think the viral, how it took off, had to have a big part in it getting a nomination.
Well, and the person that they interviewed in this article, they're talking about, are you going to franchise this to other cities? And they were kind of coy on it. Now, have you heard that they have been scoping out Boise to do some sort of a housewife show in Boise?
I
can't imagine it's going to be a Bravo show.
I did hear that rumor.
Seems like it may be something more like this.
There have been some Boise influencers that have posted on their accounts that there are producers out there looking for women in Boise for some type of reality show.
And I've heard that they are looking for some women that may or may not have a connection to the church.
Oh, I hadn't heard that aspect of
Well,
it.
I listened to Natalie Plummer did a podcast, a Boise related podcast, because they had contacted her.
She's the one I saw posted.
Yeah, she posted about it, and they'd contacted her about interviewing, and then she decided not to interview. And so she posted about it, but then she did kind of more in depth on a podcast. And she's talked to a lot of people who have talked to the producers. And then she felt even more comfortable in her decision to say, no, I'm not even going to have a conversation with you.
Oh, dear.
But that's what her take was, is that perhaps they were looking for people of a specific religion.
Interesting. I just don't see them finding this here, but we'll see.
Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, September 16th, 2025.
Coming right up.
It's coming right up. It will be after I return to normally scheduled programming.
Okay. All right. Next media story is this week. The founder of Crumbl Cookies, who was raised LDS.
His name is Sawyer Hemsley.
Sawyer Hemsley, who's actually an Idaho boy, born and raised in Preston, Idaho. We did not know.
We did not know that.
Anyways, he is gay, but was not publicly open about that until he got outed this week on the internet by a TikTok star. Who's the TikTok guy?
It's in the next article.
Anyway, some TikTok guy.
Well, here's what the TikTok guy said. Let me just tell you what the TikTok guy said. So this is Grant Gibbs, and he had an August 22nd TikTok video where he speculated about the CEO's sexuality. This is his quote. I quite literally have never seen a gayer man, he wrote in the post caption. The video racked up 18.8 million views. Commenters piled on. I just checked the Crumbl Cookie CEO after seeing him for 2 seconds. I already knew. I've never had my gaydar go off so fast. Mm-hmm. Gibbs has since half-jokingly apologized to Hemsley in a follow-up video.
So
I have some issues.
Well, this thing was wild. I mean, it is the year 2025.
Yes.
How is this happening? And this feels like such a middle school boy.
It feels like doxing to me.
To be like,
yeah,
he's so gay. Like, that's just so immature and such. Anyway, so then the founder comes out. He feels the pressure.
Yeah.
This is all going on online.
Exactly.
So then he released a statement saying, yes, this is something that he has figured out as he's gotten older. And I mean, it sounds like it's been a struggle for him to figure this out. And I don't think he was purposefully hiding it.
No,
but it was just not something he wanted to
discuss. And you know what? I think that's his prerogative.
Yes.
Maybe he doesn't want to have a public discussion about his sexuality. Maybe he wants the public discussion to be about his high caloric cookies.
It is so wild.
Maybe he wants to be known for his cookies.
I know. It is so wild to me that just in this year, something like this is happening. This feels very 1990s.
It does. It does. And I was just really, really incensed when I read this, because I was like, there is no need for that. If Sawyer Hemsley wanted to come out on his own and make a statement, great. Do it. It was clear that he didn't, because he hadn't. Right. And then he gets backed into a corner. And so he's left with a choice of, do I not say anything and just have people
just let this circulate online forever? Yeah.
Or am I comfortable enough at this point in time to say something to put this thing to bed because it had gone viral?
Right.
And so he can get back to making high caloric cookies that we all love to consume. So that
was a weird.
Well, and then the TikTokers just like, haha, JK, sorry.
I know, and I can't believe people are coming more for the TikToker.
The TikToker. I know. That kind of makes me mad too.
I would think one would be canceled for that behavior, but I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Quick shout out on this one. This is our last Mormons in the Media story. I have talked about Provo's Most Eligible on the show before, which is an online dating reality show.
YouTube, right? Is that where we can find it?
That's where we can find it. So the premise of this show is there's a curtain and the boys can't see the girls, and the girls get up. The boys get up and give an introduction. A girl raises her hand if she thinks she's interested in the boy. And then conversely, a girl will get up and give an introduction and the boy raises his hand. So the first couple of contestants that went were boys looking for girls. And then it was a time for the first girl to go. So apparently none of the girls wanted to be first. And so they're sitting there for a really long time.
Sounds like a little bit of an awkward situation.
Exactly. So finally this girl named Riley McBride gets up and she goes and introduces herself. And it's just crickets on the boys' side. No boy gets up. You can see snickering and giggling. And I felt so awful for Riley because it was really.
Did you watch it?
I did. I
just read the article, and just reading the article, I was like, oh my gosh, what a nightmare.
I watched this several weeks ago.
Okay.
But I remember my thought when I watched that, and I was mortified at their behavior, and I felt so bad for her because she's just this sweet, adventurous girl. And so what ended up happening was this has actually gone viral, but viral for her in a good way. So the clip of her rejection has been viewed 1.7 million times on TikTok, 5.4 million times on Instagram, and 97.7 million times on X, where it's prompted a heated discussion about dating behavior and men in today's society.
Yeah.
So, and Riley's been super good natured about it. She said, I was willing to go first. And she said, I knew that there was a potential that could happen. I even said to my friends beforehand, the worst thing that happened is no one gets up, and that would probably be the most devastating thing. And that's what happened. But she is kind of this really strong, adventuresome girl. And so she went ahead and did it. And she's just kind of made the most of it, especially with things going viral. And anyway, so it's just inspired this whole discussion about dating culture. And some of the comments have been very pro Riley, like Riley dodged a lot of bullets, a TikTok commenter wrote. I'm 100% convinced that every single one of those guys was intimidated by how adventurous and probably independent she is. Now, I 100% agree with that because these are all, Provo BYU boys. And I won't get on my soapbox tonight about what I think about the maturity level of Provo BYU boys and their ability to handle a woman who has a brain.
Well, it was interesting, though. She kind of defended them, which I thought was very classy of her.
Very classy of her.
She kind of said, look, they were probably nervous. I don't think they were laughing at me. I think they were snickering because they were nervous because
I don't think so. I think they were just immature and scared.
I don't know. My daughter reports from Utah State. That is one of the things she reported in this past week. She said, Mom, the Utah boys, not so much. She is not impressed so far. I'm sure someday maybe one of them will impress her. But first impressions, not so much.
Well, she can come to Aunt Tiffany. We'll have a whole discussion about that. All right. Let's do Mormons behaving badly. I have two stories tonight. Okay. First of all, you may recall that 5 years ago, the Provo MTC got a little shot up. Somebody came and shot the security booth.
Did not remember this story.
Oh, yes.
Until I read the article. Yes. I'm sure we talked about it.
But. Anyway, so when it happened, and nobody died or was injured, the security footage showed a man in a light-colored SUV leave his vehicle and shoot the booth with a handgun, but the police were not able to identify him. So this case went unresolved until May of 2024. In May of 2024, a deputy in Twin Falls arrested this gentleman, Dallin William Litster, who's, I believe, from the Boise area, on some unrelated charge. And so while Mr. Litster is in the car with the deputy, Mr. Litster starts spilling his guts and tells the deputy he shot up the MTC booth.
Like 4 years ago.
4 years ago. So the deputy had his camera on and he's, kind of recording this unsolicited confession. So he turns that over to the Provo police, and they do some investigation, and they find out Mr. Litster was living in the Provo area at that time, and they are able to connect the dots, and they arrest Mr. Litster. And so he pled guilty to attempted murder, a second-degree felony, and 5 counts of felony discharge of a firearm for a shooting. So, as part of the plea, he agrees not to contest the recommendation to the judge that the sentences for each charge can run consecutively, which means that after he finishes one sentence, the next sentence starts, so they don't all run at the same time. He will be sentenced on October 7th. So,
what do you think he'll get?
He's
going to do some time.
He is going to do some time. I'm trying to see if it says here. So he pled guilty to an aggravated assault, a third-degree felony, criminal mischief, a Class A misdemeanor. The charge of attempted murder was reduced from a first-degree felony to a second-degree felony as a result of the plea deal, and the 2 other charges were replaced with 5 felony charges of discharging a firearm. I think in large part what this is going to depend on is clearly Mr. Litster has some prior criminal background because he was arrested in Twin Falls. We don't know what for. So probably his sentence in large part, I'm going to presume, is going to be dependent on what his criminal background is, what his remorse is. Those are kind of factors that they consider.
I just want to know why. Can we just have a thing where all of the judges in America will not accept your plea deal unless you give an explanation? It doesn't have to be one that makes sense because probably most of them won't make sense.
Well,
but I just want to know what's going through your head.
And that's it. They're not going to make sense, and you have no idea if they're truthful.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's the problem. In fact, that's what we saw recently in the Brian Kohberger case, because so many people wanted him to say why he did it. And the prosecutor said, look, I didn't make that a condition of the plea deal because whatever he says, we're probably not likely to believe him. And so what is the point of that? You just have to live with the fact that you probably never know why, which again is, I understand how disconcerting that is to people, because this is egregious behavior that normal, rational people don't engage in. And so you want to understand.
Like, you just want to somehow wrap your head around it. Like,
because it's not logical.
Did he have a bad experience at the MTC?
Exactly. Because it's not logical. And these people are not behaving in a rational, logical manner. If they were, they wouldn't be engaging in the behavior they're engaging in. So that brings us to our second Mormon behaving badly. We have a BYU baseball player. He is from the southern Idaho area, the Blackfoot area. Camden Dahl. He was sentenced yesterday. He was arrested for, trying to remember what his original charge was, sexual abuse of a minor. His victim, he abused over the course of 5 years when the victim was 7 to 12. He was, during the majority of that time, also a minor himself. The charges he ultimately pled guilty to were a couple that happened right after he turned 18. So he got 5 to 10 years. He got 5 years fixed with 10 years suspended. The judge suspended that sentence, gave him 180 days in the county jail, 8 years of probation, and 200 hours of community service. There is a lot of chatter on the internet about this sentence.
It's tough.
It's tough. And
it's one of those cases where I'm just like, what is the right call? And people are mad because most of it got suspended, which I get.
And he doesn't have to register as a sex offender. They're mad about that.
He was also a minor for a majority of it, which still, you have to have, I don't know. I do wish they would make him register as a sex offender. I just think that maybe he has some unresolved stuff, and that would be good to have. His record. I don't
have
know.
a lot of thoughts from a legal perspective because I was a prosecutor for 9 years. So I have a lot of thoughts on that. I was reading an article, talked about the victim's impact statement in court. She's now a 15-year-old girl. She was in court this week telling the judge her story. Her parents were telling the judge their story, just how her personality changed and the lifelong impacts on her and all of that. Very, very moving and hard to hear. Again, our hearts go out to her. but there's so many complexities. And when you just read the online comments, it's like, he should be locked away forever. And, just all sorts of stuff. And I understand people's natural reaction to this. This is a horrific crime. But there's a couple of different things at play that I think were probably going on with the judge. First of all, the judge was Stephen Boyce. He is the judge who was the judge on the Lori Vallow and the Chad Daybell trial. And they were saying, he's a lightweight. He should be out of office. And I'm like, no, he's an excellent judge. And all you have to do is go listen to his sentencing of Lori and Chad, and you can see what a good judge he is. Couple of things that struck me. First of all, the majority of this did occur while Camden Dale was a minor. And so we have different laws for minors than we do have for adults. He was ultimately charged for some offenses as an adult. Minors' brains are not fully developed like an adult brain. The other thing that I wonder about is because this went on for so long while he was a minor, I would suspect that maybe Camden Dahl probably had some abuse in his background, because this is not typical behavior that you would typically engage in. Again, does not excuse what he did. I'm not trying to excuse what he did. I'm just trying to provide some context for this sentence. When somebody is young like this, one of the goals is rehabilitation. Now, whether or not somebody can be rehabilitated, and a lot of people say sex offenders can never be rehabilitated. I would, for the most part, probably concur with that. But it is highly likely before he got sentenced, he was required to do what's called a psychosexual evaluation. I am not going to go into the graphic details of what a psychosexual evaluation involves. I will just say, as my time as a prosecutor, I read psychosexual evaluations. They are very, very thorough. And one of the things that they identify in the psychosexual evaluation is the propensity to reoffend. And they are super, super thorough about that. So again, I don't know. I'm just speculating that a psychosexual evaluation was probably done. The other thing that happened as well is this case went to what's known as criminal mediation. They reached this plea agreement with the victim in criminal mediation. The victim initially agreed to this as part of the mediation in criminal mediation, because again, it is traumatizing for victims to have to go on the stand and tell their story. After the mediation and after the agreement was reached, the victim had buyer's remorse and wished that she hadn't agreed to that, but it was too late at that point in time to pull out. The other thing too is a lot of times victims think, oh, if I can go to trial and I can do this and I can see him get locked away forever, that I'm going to have closure and I'm going to feel so vindicated. It doesn't work that way. You think that that's how it's going to work. And then you get through that whole process and you realize I'm still the same person today that I was yesterday. And all of these feelings and emotions related to this were not really tied to him getting locked up in prison. I still need to go process and deal with all of that. So there's just a lot of layers of complexity here is what I'm saying to this.
It's just a sad.
I feel for this girl. She is so struggling, as well she should. She's been through a horrific thing. But again, there's just lots of layers of complexity. So anyway, that's my lawyer soapbox for tonight.
That was a doozy. That was a tough story.
Okay. Yeah. That's not really a good way to end this. Okay. So
how are you going to recover now?
Here's how I'm going to recover. This right here. We're going to move on to favorite things. Now, we don't know if this is a favorite thing. This is a new thing that I have found last night. This is a Reese's Oreo. So this is if Reese's and an Oreo had a baby. So this is how we're going to recover. We're going to recover with chocolate.
Okay, well, that's
so you and I are going to open this and we are going to try this new candy, the Reese's Oreo mashup, and we're going to see what we think.
Okay. So it's like a Reese's peanut butter cup with cookie crumbles.
Yes, it looks like the bottom has the milk chocolate, then the peanut butter filling with cookie crumbs, and then a white chocolate on top is what this looks like. So I have no idea. I had seen that this was coming out.
This has potential to be very good.
This does have potential to be very good.
I like all the stuff they're putting in Reese's these days. Like, have you tried the potato chips ones?
I have not tried the potato chips.
I like the potato chips in the Reese's.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. Crunchy cookie.
Crunchy cookie.
I like it.
I like it too. I'm not a super big fan of white chocolate.
Me
I wish
neither.
the top were milk.
was chocolate.
Yeah, but it's good.
It's good.
Okay,
That's a keeper.
that's a keeper. All right, share your favorite thing, and then I'm
Okay.
going to share mine.
My favorite thing I am sharing is a lip product. If you know me, I'm a lip gloss junkie. I just like to try them all. This is e.l.f.'s Glow Revive Melting Lip Balm, and this is e.l.f.'s knockoff version of the Summer Friday, like, glowy lip balm that has gone viral with all the teenage girls.
I have never heard of a glowy lip
Have
balm.
I heard of Summer Fridays glowy balm stuff?
No, put this on. I want to see what it looks
Okay.
like.
So this e.l.f. one is a knockoff. e.l.f. does they kill it with the knockoffs.
They do kill it with the knockoffs.
The Summer Fridays version is $24 for a tube this size.
Okay.
And it's good.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie, because my daughters finally got it and I was like, okay, it's really good.
Okay, so is the e.l.f. a good dupe?
The e.l.f. is a good dupe, but it's different.
Okay.
It's not a good dupe in that, oh my gosh, it's just like it. It's a good dupe in that there are things I like better about it and things that are not quite as good.
Okay.
It's in different ways.
Now,
So
how much will the e.l.f. set you back?
the e.l.f. one is about $8.
Oh, okay.
So it is, the e.l.f. one has more pigment
I can see it. It's very pigmenty.
than the Summer Friday one. And they have different colors. The strawberry is my favorite, and this one is blackberry.
Okay.
The e.l.f. one has more pigment. It's very smooth. I like the way it
I'm going
feels.
to put some on before I leave.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
But
I got to finish eating my Reese's
my one
first.
thing is I do not think the e.l.f. one's scents are quite as strong as the Summer Fridays. I like the smell of the
Okay.
Summer Friday because it's a little bit stronger.
Okay.
But I mean, it does smell good.
Okay.
Anyway,
All right. My favorite thing tonight. Y'all are going to be shocked because I'm promoting a book.
you read a book?
I don't read. No,
She
I haven't
doesn't
read
read
a book.
books.
I've
She
read a
doesn't have
section of
time.
books.
She doesn't have time to read books.
No, I bought this book. It's called Carry On. Now, you may remember we talked about this. This came out in 2024, and it is a very thorough history of the Young Women's Program in the church.
Oh.
And so we talked about it on the podcast when it came on.
Okay, I do
It seemed
remember
like
talking
it was
about it.
really good.
Mhm.
I thought, oh, maybe I want to read that. And then I
Mhm.
went to find the price, and I'm like, $35? I'm not a reader. I'm not.
Mhm.
It is not worth it to me to pay $35 for
Right.
this book. Well, you can see I have this book.
Oh,
So
let me guess. DI?
No,
No.
This was even better. Probably even cheaper than DI. So our Siegel book is going out of business. Although we didn't know
Oh.
the Siegel book was going out of business, and Darren and I went there last Friday night to get a couple of books because it was our grandson's birthday, and we were to read him a book digitally for his birthday
Oh.
that he could then hear Grandma and Grandpa reading.
Oh, that's cute.
So while we were there, I'm looking at stuff. I find this book in the clearance bin for $2.99.
Oh,
But then I get an additional 30% off. So I paid $2.02 for this book. And I'm like, $2.02, this book is worth it. So what I did is this is a meaty, very academic book.
Mhm.
Like it would legit take me a while to get through this because
Mhm.
it's not quick reading. You have to think about it. I mean, it is very meaty, very academic.
Mhm.
I immediately went to the 1984 section because I was a young woman in 1984.
Okay.
So I wanted to see what they said about 1984. Now, for the majority of the time I was in Young Women's, the program was personal progress.
Mhm.
My senior year in high school, it changed to the values
Oh, that's what I grew up
that
with.
you grew up
Mhm.
with.
Yeah.
So I went and read the history behind how it changed to the values. And I was legit shook.
Oh,
So,
what did you learn?
okay, Ardeth Knapp
Yes.
was the Young Women's president. Okay. She got called in 1984. Before she got
Mhm.
called, she'd served in another presidency. I don't know if it was Young Women's or one of the other auxiliaries. And so she was familiar, for lack of a better term, with how the sausage is made.
Okay.
She understood what the correlation committee was about.
Mhm.
Around that time, they were transitioning so that all the auxiliaries came under the umbrella of the priesthood, so they weren't independent.
Mhm.
And so she kind of understood what it took to move things through the system that is the church.
Okay.
She manipulated that system to her benefit.
How did she do this?
And here's the other thing too that I had no idea. Ardeth Knapp was a working woman all her life.
Oh, really?
Did we have any idea growing up that Ardith Knapp was a working mom?
No.
That was never portrayed as a role model to us.
Did they shove that under the rug?
I think they shoved that under the rug. I'm reading that and I'm like, are you kidding me? Anyway, so she wants to introduce these 6 values. She is concerned that girls are, there's not a lot out there for them. The resources are all being directed towards the young men.
It was the Boy Scouts of America.
Exactly. And that girls were being pulled away by these worldly things. And the values prior to that focused more on beauty and homemaking. And she wanted the girls to focus on internal values to have internal worth. I'm like, oh, how forward thinking of you, Ardith. You were before your time. Anyway, so she gets together with her counselors and they go and do a retreat and they pray, and they really wanted to use the term values, but at that time values kind of had a worldly negative connotation. And so the brethren were pushing back a little on that. So she has, they put together what they want to do, which is a radical change from how it was, but they don't want to tell the brethren it's a radical change. Okay. So they just say, oh, we're just tweaking it a little bit. So this is the best part. Well, one of the best parts. They go and they buy some fancy machine that, technology was changing in the 80s that would make slideshows and presentations and things like that. So they put their values into that. Well, everybody was so excited about their fancy machine. So they kept inviting members of the 12 and decision makers, hey, come to the office and see our fancy machine. We'll show you how it works.
And then show them the slides that they wanted them to see.
They wanted them to
subliminal messaging, like, come see the machine.
Yes, come see the machine.
No way. That's hilarious.
Guess what got approved? But here is another completely fascinating thing. Okay. So they also at that time came up with the Young Women's Theme. Okay. And you may remember the Young Women's Theme starts with, I am a daughter of a heavenly Father who loves me. I love him, blah, 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 blah. She originally wanted it to say, I am a daughter of heavenly parents.
She was forward thinking.
The Correlation Committee nixed that because we don't talk about Heavenly Mother. But what came out within the last 5 years?
Heavenly parents. Was she alive for that? Didn't she pass away? When did she pass away?
I think she passed away. I think it was maybe kind of a little bit recently. I don't remember when she passed away. Let's just look that up. Let's just see if she was alive to see I am a daughter of heavenly parents.
I do feel like we read about it recently, about her passing. I really hope she was alive to see that, like, oh my gosh, it finally made it through.
Oh, she died March 30th, 2024. So I bet she was alive because I think that happened before 2024. I was shook when I read that she wanted that in 84.
Wow.
So
change takes a long time.
I've only read about 20 pages. And like I said, I am so now beyond completely like enamored with Ardith Knapp and what she did, because she's a very, very faithful woman. Like lots of prayer, lots of reflect. I mean, this is full of how faithful she was. And she wasn't out to like, gotcha with the priesthood leaders or anything like that. She just realized the limitations of what she was dealing with and was like, how can I manipulate this situation with the limitations of what I'm dealing with, where they don't realize they're getting manipulated and they think they're making the decision when really I'm the puppet master.
You know what? I really think she would like Taylor Swift. There are some Taylor Swift lyrics that go like really beautifully with that narrative.
Exactly.
I wonder if she ever heard him before she passed.
So
some granddaughter should have introduced her to some Taylor Swift.
And maybe some granddaughter did. So I was like, Ardith is the true definition of a feminist. It kind of makes me wonder. She reminds me a lot of our mom. And it kind of makes me wonder, how much, there probably wasn't a lot about, nowadays there's public consumption of any public figure and you can find out all sorts of stuff. That obviously wasn't the case in 84. And so I don't know how much of her background, people really knew. But anyway, so this Carry On book, amazing. I just had to share this story because I loved it.
I might have to borrow that sometime.
I will let you borrow it. I'm going to finish reading the section that is like relevant to my experience. I don't know if I'll go back and read the other sections simply because I just don't got that kind of time in my life right now. But anyway, excellent book.
Okay, that's so fun.
All right.
Okay, we went a little long. It's a supersized episode.
I did
tonight.
promise it was going to be a supersized episode. We had a lot to talk about.
We did.
So, all right, listeners, thank you very much for joining us. As always, if you have any questions or comments, you can reach out at contact@thisweekinmormons.com. You can find us on the Facebook. I've been throwing up all sorts of fun stuff on the Facebook this last week, kind of keeping those stories flowing. So we really appreciate your support. We really appreciate you listening to us. Thank you.
Thanks for listening.